So, can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
So,
it's very.
amazing. Thank you very much. So who we are the European Technology Chamber, short EUTech. We are an NGO founded in 2015. Now, 70 years later, we are the largest technology chamber worldwide. So you can see on the right side, we have three major goals that are competitiveness, growth, and sustainability. Competitiveness means that we are trying to strengthen and promote European technology and values. Grow, you're trying to access opportunities in Europe and emerging markets. And the third goal, sustainability, means that we are trying to reach the SDGs through European technologies. And we believe that the technology is the key to reach them. Here you can see our structure of the alliances. So we can divide them in three different categories or three different groups, let's say. The first one are the regional alliances that are focused really on different regions or continents like Latin America, Benelux, Middle East, or China. Impact alliances are focused more on impact like finance, policy, climate action, women in tech. And tech alliances are more focused on tech topics like smart, advanced manufacturing, IoT, mobility, and digital transformation. So our toolbox. So on one hand, we are trying to share the knowledge through our different publications as Visions for Europe, through position papers and white papers, where we are trying to share the recommendations with the industry. And on the other hand, we are supporting networking. Networking can happen online or offline. So now it's very amazing that I can announce that we are trying to return back to offline events. So it will start happening, big conferences, which you can attend and to meet our advocates and amazing speakers and politicians in person. Of course, we cannot forget our online events, because even today you are part of one of them. So we are organizing one time per month, each alliance a webinar, and 2 times per month a networking group. So, and as you can see by the live events, 90% of the participants are policymakers, CEOs, and CIOs. Our networking. So if you visit our homepage, you should be able to see the overview of all networking groups when they are happening, each alliance. Here on the next slide, you see the amazing feedbacks that we have received from our advocates. So please join our LinkedIn group where you can find the newest and latest updates. And also we are posting the information about our next events. So this is our homepage. I will copy the link in our chat box, so you can just have a look what exactly we are doing, what are the latest news. And if you should have any question, please reach out to me, my colleague Maria, or any of our directors or coordinators, and we'll be more than happy to tell you more. Okay, so I wish you have a wonderful webinar and hopefully see you next time. Maria.
Thank you very much for that introduction. As she already mentioned to all of you, if you would like to get to know us better, if you would like to have a better understanding, feel free to reach anyone from our team, and we will be very happy to guide you through all those possibilities that you can explore with EUTech. So I would like to invite everyone from the audience to share their comments, their questions. They can start doing that since this moment, so please don't wait till the end of the panel. I would like to apologize because I can see that my camera is not working, but anyway, I'm here, so I'm gonna be trying to reconnect once again with the camera, but I apologize of having that problem with the system. Now I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, who is Daniel Civica. He is the founder of the Leads Master, a consulting company that provides C-level consultancy services across the digital marketing and transformations, media, contract negotiations, European project funding. Indeed, Daniel specializes in building up the market propositions and as well market offers, value boosting through innovative perspectives. Daniel has an extensive executive experience as chairman and CEO, while held responsible for media and creative agencies. Indeed, he is working with the WPP PLC holding with clients' business in telco, banking, finance, and as well FMCG fields. So now we'll give you the microphone, Daniel, so that you will be able to make your presentation. After that, I will introduce the other panelists to the audience. And if you give me 1 second, I will providing you the rights as a presenter so that you can share your screen, okay?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I will start right off with sharing my screen. I hope everything will work fine for you.
Remember to look at the bottom.
Just a second, please. Do you see my screen?
It's loading.
Once again?
Okay, yes, now we can see.
Yeah, great. So I will click into the presentation deck and I put it into presentation mode. So please shout if there is anything wrong technically. And then shout later, please, in the panel discussion if you agree or disagree with my perceptions. So is everything okay for now?
We can see the presentation.
Great, thank you very much. So good morning again. I will speak quickly, but I hope quite impactfully for you about the latest trends in the transformation, in digital transformation, given and framed into the area of marketing and digital media, which is as Maria introduced me already, thank you for that, as is one of the key areas that I lived in and was doing actually all my professional life. So regarding either transformation or digital transformation and even marketing, I mean, we were all the time the experts in the, creating lots of the buzzwords around any new trend. And I want to give a little bit of the navigation now. I have a couple of good news, I hope, for everyone. So the first good news is that regarding the universe of the marketing, digital and transformation, and lots of the buzzwords we hear and lots of the real stuff and the strategies, we are at some place in the orbit and 26,000 light years from the center of the galaxy. So that's the first good news. We have some navigation already. I've been hearing a lot around metaverse, so I decided to speak about this term a little bit and really give you some cases and navigation, what it can really mean in the real life already today. I think there is a lot of it already in place, and I think that we will witness very soon, the real progress in the metaverse and combination with the marketing initiatives there. I'm Daniel Živica. I would just say that I'm proud owner and holder of the 3 certificates I was given from EUTech recently from the Finance Alliance. So thank you for that. I will not speak anymore about my background. I hope that it's easily understood now. I will go back from the metaverse a little bit to I think what should be in the center of our attention and our focus, thinking about how we speak to the audiences, how companies can think about their consumers, customers, or the audiences, is the mobile device. I think that's the really tangible arm or upgrade to the human being and human integrity, and everyone knows this because we have been using smartphones for quite some time. I think it was 2007 when Steve Jobs introduced this concept, And I think it's really evolving into many of good directions. We've been maybe hearing a lot about some threats and some bad directions in the mobile developments, but I think it's a great opportunity, and I think that we will see coming real transformation through the mobiles even before we speak about some sort of clumsy headset, Oculus devices, and what is Meta doing. I think that's a really good direction here, but mobiles are already here and we can use them. So one of the really fascinating projects for me is run now by Niantic Lightship, which you can then Google if you don't know it. I believe that many of you already checked out what Niantic was doing now recently. So here are some examples. They created Lightship projects besides of the other stuff they have been doing and developing. Lightship projects should be really aimed to the development of the metaverse solutions in the mobile devices. So it's basically up and running now, and I think it's also affordable to the more broader developers audience now, because the pricing seems to me quite affordable, really. So I think this is why I'm so optimistic about what we will see coming in next weeks, months, or maybe a year or two. I think there is going to be a lot of the progress around the globe in this area. So you saw something what they are building already in the spatial data. So they have been mapping out and giving some additional layers to the spatial data that are available already. The applications you see here, it's internal metaverse, and again some kind of the gaming. I think that everyone remembers Pokemon Mania that has been here around for some years ago. I remember here at the river Danube in Bratislava, my hometown, which is near Vienna. I remember one of the hotspots of Pokemon Mania near the river, and you could see really some hundreds of people sometimes chasing for Pokemons. So this is really the upgrade. It was already here, but I think that it really gives us another spin to the let's say the topics that were here already. And another example is really about mapping out the spatial places and the data and how they have been using it. So it's really something, this is really important, regardless if we call it metaverse or anything else. We are now witnessing real possibilities how to merge digital and physical world. And I think it has great impact on the most areas of our lives, and even marketing and even commerce. If you look on the latest data, it is just a proof of that. If you look on the one part of it is the latest development around stay-at-home strategies, etc. So some trends will stay here, obviously, and also the old behavior will stay here, of course. So it will be the mixture, and it really gives us navigation that the mix of these two, let's say contradictory stances of the lifestyle are are in the synergy, actually. What is the new term? Sort of I'm offering a new buzzword maybe here: physicalization of the digital space and digital experiences. I think this is the real opportunity, and this is what you saw on the metaverse examples earlier now through the mobile devices. That leads us to the intensified customers experience, indeed, and I think that's the practical implications in commerce. So there are now the strategies how to put more of this digital engagement into direct, let's say, consumer decision making. So imagine how you can be advised by the expert during your customer journey or shopping process, or even advised by your friends. So there is another layer into the commerce now, which is social. And the final result now, which we can speak about, is the strategy in the marketing and in customer relationships, which can be called social commerce. I'll give you some examples now. Retail winners of 21. So just the recent cases, this were really created during the pandemic and the lockdowns, but obviously all of these trends are here to stay, and that's great news for the further development. So first example is Offspring, sneaker retailer in UK. Basically, what they did, they did some community events on their mobile app and try to keep the pace and community pace around their brand even in the digital world. So that's one of the examples. They will probably keep it also now in the after pandemic times. Harry Rolston, I never shopped there, but it's the high-end men's clothing retailer. What is really nice here, how they got into the use of the first-party data, how they merged those first-party data on their website with actually the physical data they got by the footfall, by the visits in their shops previously, and so they created personalized profiles, data profiles, which then could be used back on their website and in the digital space for a better and personalized customer experience. The last one from abroad for me is Currys, electrical retailer. What they did is really what I mentioned already earlier, is that through the shopping process, you could call through the app, you could call directly to the live counsel and live expert on your shopping process, and then finish later after talking to her or him to the advisor. You can continue and finalize your shopping journey. Really great example, and it's gonna be really it is to stay here because they want to invest and develop this path more. The last but not least is Vesna. She's she was born in Slovakia, okay? Just some months ago, Erste Bank started their own project in the merging physical banking space and digital space by AI-powered hologram banker. That is the real stuff. What I like really about it, it creates some opportunities for the future, but it created also immediate real stuff for communication of the brand, and it's got really very positive perceptions around the audiences where is Erste Bank talking to. I will try to share now the last piece of it is it's video on YouTube. I hope it will work as well. It's self-explanatory.
Nepoznám takéto riešenie. Som Vesna, vaša virtuálna asistentka. Naozaj je nafutrovaná veľkým množstvom jednotlivých modulov. S Vesnou sa dá neustále pracovať, je veľmi flexibilná, je pripravená na to, aby dokázala v budúcnosti odpovedať klientom personalizovane. Beží na unikátnej technológii Tlak v holovrtuliach, aby tá konverzácia pôsobila prirodzene. Vie navigovať klienta na otvorenie účtu, keď stratí kartu alebo zabudne PIN kód, vie mu pomôcť s investovaním. Ďalší kanál je chatbot na webe. Tam je hlavná pridaná biznisová hodnota, okamžitá pomoc pomôcť klientom 24/7. Oslovili sme doktora Roberta Krauseho. Pomocou neurovenných veraní sme si vymodelovali, ako si ľudia predstavili Slovenská sporiteľňa je unikátna v tomto smere.
Right, so I think we are done here. So thank you for attention.
Thank you so much, Danny.
Sorry.
Pokiaľ sa jedná o nejakú významnú zmenu, ktorá má vplyv na...
I need to stop everything what I turned on.
Thank you, Danny.
Yeah, so I hope it's okay now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I stopped sharing my screen. And thank you again.
Thank you so much, Danny, for that keynote speech. Now, I would like to proceed to introduce the other panelists that are going to be with us today. First, please welcome Fabio Berra. He has a degree in languages and communication at the Catholic University of Milan. Fabio has a great experience in digital solutions and innovation with the Tech International Agency Next 14. Previous experience in startup systems with Jointech, as well as an innovative startup focus on proximity marketing solutions and innovative AV geo solutions for the top brands like Maserati, Barilla, Pfizer, and Espresso. So Fabio, if you would like to say briefly hello to the audience, please, this is the time to do that. Fabio? Can you hear me? The others can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, Fabio, can you hear me now? We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you, but in the meantime, you're going to be able to fix your audio. I'm going to continue with the others. So I would like to introduce now Agustin. Sorry if I don't pronounce well your last name. Oihaburu Pantano.
I'll say it. Don't worry. It's Ojamburu.
Ojamburu Pantano.
Yeah.
Is China digital marketing expert. He helped business enter and scale up their activities in the Chinese market through the digital marketing. Agustin have 3 years of experience helping Israeli companies, the different European markets and health tech and edtech. He's focusing on the big shift that is coming to Europe and China. Agustin has also 7 years of experience in finance, big tech, IBM, as well as Accenture and Vodafone. So if you would like to say hello to the audience, this is the moment.
Okay, so hello everybody. I'm very happy to be here, and yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Agustin. Fabio, let's try. Let's try it and see if your mic's working. Okay, still it's not working, but Asmat, who is here and he's part of the IT team, is going to help you, okay? He will write you in private. Let's see if it works. Now I would like to introduce Alex Dicken. He is the co-founder and the product lead of Kawo in China marketing SaaS platform. As self-taught designer and programmer, Alex originally studied in zoology at the university. And then in 2007, he decided on a whim to move to China. Seeing a gap in the market, in 2013, he co-founded Kawo with the goal of being the best solution for brands to manage their social media. Last year, Kawo was actually raised 11 million from Sequoia Capital and the Tiger Global. So Alex, if you would like to say hello to the audience, please.
Hello, it is a pleasure to be here today. Thank you very much for that introduction.
Thank you, Alex. Fabio, let's see if it works.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Fine.
If you would like to say hello to the audience.
Yeah, hello to everybody. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you so much, Fabio. So after this amazing and brief introduction from our panelists, let's start the panel. So the first question will be indeed for Agustin. what are the digital marketing challenges today for companies already doing business in China?
Okay, thank you for the question. I would like to be very brief on this and not share any presentation and talk very common words. So what I do, as you presented me, I help companies to do digital marketing in China. So what I found to be the challenges for companies that are already doing businesses in China, it's how, I mean, we are talking now about international companies, not of course Chinese companies. And for those international companies, what I found is how to control the budget spending and also the efficiency of that budget spending in China for them. That's the main challenge that we found. And another of the challenges that we find for them is how to increase the efficiency of that budget inside Chinese media channels. So that's what in my idea, what I would say the main pain point that big companies and companies that are already in China, or that maybe that have been a long time in China, have now, because they come from an old mindset of doing advertising in China. Maybe they are working with an agency, with a local agency in China, and they don't have so much oversight nor control over what's going on with their marketing activity. So yeah, that's my answer. I don't know, maybe Alex has also some other opinions about it.
Alex, if you would like to add anything, please.
I mean, the main challenge for the majority of businesses in China is that they are too short-term thinking. They want all short-term immediate results. They want to spend $1 on ads and get $2 back in revenue. And that's just not the way that building sustainable brands works here in China. There is too little strategic thinking, and there is too little focused on actually connecting with their audience. The number of times that I go into the office of a marketing team in China and I say, who are your target users? What do they think? What do they feel? What value are you providing to them? And they have not a clue. All they're trying to think about is, what can we get? How can we sell something? How can we get somebody to click on something and buy something? But we all know as Westerners that, it's great brands that build great companies. As I've often said, there's only two ways in this world to build a profitable, successful company. One is to have a pharmaceutical patent. The other is to have a brand. And for the majority of companies, option one isn't an option. So this is where companies in China need to think more long-term. I remember when I went to university, so many companies in the UK advertise to university students, and they're thinking very long-term. They sell newspapers to university students at 1/5 of what they cost on the normal high street, because these consumers are making lifelong purchasing decisions. I hear almost nothing about retention marketing in China. Everything is about placing ads and getting people to buy. They're not thinking about connecting with real consumers, building real relationships as brands and companies with their audience. And there is too much hype around the latest trends. Whether or not it's the metaverse or NFTs or God knows what, there needs to be more focus on the fundamentals. Who are our audience? What can we do to connect with that audience better? I can tell you the reality is that most people are not, inside the metaverse right now. Even live streaming is a trend. Last year, I asked half of our office, I said, how often do you spend watching live streaming? And almost nobody said yes. But if you'd listened to any webinar in marketing in China last year, they would have been telling you, you've got to be live streaming, you've got to be on live streaming. And yet hardly anybody I knew was actually watching live streams. So as I often say on almost every single time I'm asked to speak, the emperor has no clothes. Do not believe the hype. Focus on the fundamentals. Talk to your customers, listen to them, find out what your own customers need and how you can provide it to them.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much. Actually, I think that something that is quite amazing is the passion that you have when you are speaking. So thank you so much for...
I think it's less passion and just raw frustration at the amount of ridiculous thinking I encounter in the marketing industry. I'm, you know, a pragmatic realist who's working in the wrong bloody industry.
I will not make comments about that, but we will discuss it further for sure. Thank you, Alex. Now, I have a question for Fabio. From marketing standpoint, which are the new trends in digital transformation?
Well, we've seen some trends in Daniel's presentation, obviously metaverse, digital reality, but I think that many companies are starting to pay greater attention on what we expect will happen at the end of the next year, when Google will definitely change its third-party cookie policy. This is not only an ADV matter, but I think it's an important issue that will impact also in marketing strategies. We are just experimenting this stronger attention for users' privacy, for example, in all the Apple ecosystem, no? And I think that this will lead companies in general to focus on building new relationships with their customer or potential customers, as Alex told you before. So brands need to create a connection, direct connection with their customer or potential customers. So I think that the use of digital tools will let them to communicate directly with their audiences. In few words, I think that the new trends will bring companies to invest in conventional digital tools, new websites, for example, or mobile apps, or e-commerce too, but also other digital technologies like virtual reality and conversational marketing. I think that this will be one of the key points, the key technologies or tools to create direct connections with users, as I told you before. Also to boost the unexpressed potential of their CRM, also thanks to marketing automation, user marketing automation. I don't know if you agree, Alex, on this point. See you smile, no?
Well, I mean, from a China perspective, we had huge hype a couple of years ago around social CRM. And the reality was almost nobody I bumped into actually could tell me what social CRM was. Yet at the same time, there are teams who believe that content is commoditized. But content is the thing that you fundamentally need for any digital platform. It is absolutely not commoditized. Great content is what connects with your audience, and yet people were not paying any time and attention onto the fundamental thing. They were too focused on tips and tricks and tactics. And so this is maybe more of a China-specific point of view. A lot of the people in China are not looking at the big picture. They're just focused on exactly what's in front of them. And yeah.
Okay, another key word that I think will guide companies, the main choices, I think will be sustainability, because there's an increasing need for many companies to demonstrate to consumers that they are not moved by money, but they want in some way to change the world, to have a positive impact in the world. So I think this key word will guide also market strategies of the best of the big companies. Talking on conversational marketing, I think that there is a double important strategy on this thing, because from one side, main companies are trying to create tools like chatbot, maybe guided by artificial intelligence, to solve all or mainly most of user and consumers' questions and issues. So they are trying to give rapid and quick answers to customers or potential customers from one side with automated tools. From the other side, there's a constant need, an emerging need of the human touch. So the possibility for users to stay in contact, to activate a direct contact, direct dialogue with brands. So, for example, from one side, if you can't obtain the right question, the right answer to one of your questions about your brands, the possibility to connect to a human interface, so to an expert, a brand ambassador, or someone who can answer directly to your question, I think it's a fundamental. It's an emerging trend in marketing.
Fabio, or maybe to any of the other panelists, when was the last time any of you had a positive interaction with a chatbot?
I have constantly.
That's what I thought the answer would be. I have only frustration at interacting with chatbots.
No. I don't agree on that. I think that if you also data in our a lot of our projects demonstrate that the 80%.
Give me a specific example when you personally had a good interaction with a chatbot.
Yeah, 80% of the common questions are solved by chatbot and artificial intelligence. 80%. So that with data,
this is completely opposite to my own personal experience. I find chatbots to be frustrating, and they're a way of companies avoiding interacting with their customers, whether or not it's my bank, the travel agent, whoever it is. They're a mistaken idea that they can achieve greater efficiency by having a computer reply to customers. In the end, they just put it
on what chatbot are you you find on your way, because there are two different ways to develop a chatbot. So there are the static chatbot with the common sequence question answer as the FAQ on a website, and there are intelligent chatbot, artificial intelligence, that are able to understand your tone of voice, your age, your instruction, and they can create a really great, interesting dialogue with you.
That sounds quite creepy and like a potential privacy violation. But I would say, from a UX perspective, that anybody
in the GDPR context.
From a UX perspective, I always believe that anybody that's relying on an FAQ has already failed. If people cannot find the information they want through the navigational hierarchy of whatever experience you've created, and you've just shoved everything you think they need to know into an FAQ, you've already failed. Like, great digital experiences help customers find what they want intuitively.
No, as I told you, I believe that, and we have seen in concrete projects with some important brands, that if you develop a really great, obviously you have to invest on it. It's not sufficient to activate a standard chatbot on your website. But if you invest in artificial intelligence, you can create some really interesting sequences to answer and to satisfy customers' needs.
By artificial intelligence, I assume you mean machine learning.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest about the fact that artificial intelligence doesn't exist at this point.
Is this about chatbots, the debate, or are we going to be more
it's about trying to keep things on it,
or helpful to everyone? I mean, this is the problem, really. It's a real demonstration. And also, I wanted to speak about, as I spoke about metaverse and buzzwords in marketing, that's the real barrier of any meaningful and sensible discussion, because you go directly into some technical part of it. But put it back to what Alex was saying earlier. I think that's exactly where the marketer's focus should be, and that's actually what we called Wavemaker Global developed purchase journey model that was measured through the different connections during that journey. And there was an important part. I didn't want to speak about this in the speech, but this is really strategic stuff. You get 70 or at least 60% better ROI if you focus on the passive stage of the purchase journey. That means really everything which happens before the direct shopping or even direct interaction with your customer. And I think this is exactly, and I agree here, Alex, with you, that where you put already the passion, I think the passion should be really here. What I'm seeing now is a bit of the, and we are struggling with this all the time when the economic cycle comes into the discussion. So now is the time where we probably will see some kind of the recession globally because of the developments. So guess who is the first resource of your savings in the company? Yes, right. It's marketing budget, and that's exactly it. Because clients who were too much focused on the active stage of the purchase journey, so interaction with chatbots, for example, or interaction with Google search or anything like that. I mean, there are great topics, but they were not aware of the funnel basically in the advertising and communication, that they can win a lot of it even before the customer comes to your application or downloads the application or comes to your online shop or whatever. So I think, the key message for me here is really we need to focus on the passive stage, on the framing stage of the customer, and not to take it as the savings resource once the economic cycle goes down, and create there the meaningful and impactful connections with your brand. And engagement is not everything about ROI chasing or chasing your clicks, or the last part of the marketing funnel. Thanks.
It's interesting, Daniel, because that kind of, like, in the chat, I noticed that Sven made the statement that great content is personalized, and I actually strongly disagree with this statement. And I believe that with increasing privacy laws, as we've seen with GDPR, California has its own privacy law. China brought in PIPL on the 1st of November last year, which really restricts the data that you're able to store on individuals. It now is putting the emphasis onto marketing teams to create content with a stronger pull. You can no longer target, profile, and push things to people. They now have more control. And what we see is that consumers, when you ask them again and again, they do not want to be give their information away. They want greater privacy. They don't want to be profiled.
Yeah,
they want.
Yeah, that's the third party. That's the third party
the
topic, and I fully agree. I think what we see through the tech moguls now and through the whole industry how it was developing in last decade. I think we are at a tipping point. We need to somehow reframe the whole setups and the legislation and how the brands can work with the data. What I was speaking, and there is a great opportunity again back to even mobile usage and the metaverse on mobile later. That any of these cases is based. What I presented earlier was based on the first party data. So something that customer either gives you consent for, or doesn't give you consent for. And that's quite different. So I think, take it in the generalistic way, like all data are wrong. I even don't think that if we would look up for the surveys, there would be different piles of surveys. Once is saying, depending on how you want to basically moderate the survey. So pile of the consumers would be really annoyed by where their personalized data went wrong, and the other part wouldn't give away the personalization level they already got, and all the user experience basically got from the online environment. And I think we take it as the granted and take it as for granted. But even myself, I don't want to be given in the package of data somewhere in the third party middleman and be part of this business. That's natural, of course. We need to resolve it. But on the other hand, I don't want to give up of the current level of my personal user experience across the platforms that I shop with, for example, Amazon or the others. So there is a great difference between first-party data and the others.
That power should be in your hands. It should be a freedom of the company to decide how much of your personal information they store. one of the things that makes me frustrated about the GDPR legislation, and to a certain extent the legislation we have here in China, it is all about the enforcement of that legislation. And the people who currently miss and abuse our data are going to continue to do this. You know, the EU, even China, lack the ability to absolutely enforce these laws, and we've had a technological solution to privacy are built into the platforms that we use. We have seen increases in the way browsers sandbox your information. It's harder to fingerprint you as a user. But still, you know, the companies themselves can't be trusted to be good stewards of user data, and we need much more. We need more technology, not just legislation.
Of course, but it's also the stance of the. I think there are great differences between US, Europe, and even China. Of course, how the customers perceive this, how they perceive their privacy issues, for example. You know, in my case, the probably the worst company that I want to, because I know that the procedures are at least disputable. The worst company in this case would be my government, but they already got the data, and I know they are everywhere, and they can be leaked everywhere basically. So then you have some legal procedures available as the civilist, as the citizen. But back to the business. I mean, again, it's important to understand, and I think this is where the industry overall didn't make a job right in the last decade, explaining how the data are used, because everyone remembers Cambridge Analytica, which was obviously the trigger for the importance of this topic. I mean, that was the wake-up call for everyone. Those who were already in the business somehow knew or were suspicious about how those tech giants are using those data, but general public was not allowed to understand better what can be done there and what is the right barrier, how the data, for example, are anonymized in the way that is not exactly the individual and detailed data that the companies have been using, especially for marketing. So better education and better promotion to the overall topic and better awareness of the topic is really helpful.
One of the challenges, which I think you're alluding to there, is that business models of the tech platform, a lot of these companies, is not aligned with the interests of the individuals. And that is where we have one actually interesting and very positive example here in China. You've probably heard a quote by the German Andrew Lewis, where it says, if the company is trying to sell you a product, then you are the product. And this obviously Cambridge Analytica has to be true with Facebook. Now, to take a very good example, Facebook make 90% of their revenue from advertising. Be pretty sure who they're going to be making decisions in the best of. They're deciding things with the product. Now, let's take WeChat from Tencent. WeChat, by Tencent, 50+% of Tencent's revenue comes from gaming. 21% of it comes from payments. 17% of Tencent's revenue comes from advertising. Now, Alan Zhao is the founder of WeChat within Tencent, still its leader. He has spoken very clearly about they could use data to make profit. They choose not to because they value the privacy of the individuals of the platform, of the user on their platform. Now, the thing that gives them the freedom to have that stance is that their business model is not dependent on using those users' data or advertising to those users. Users on WeChat will only see 5 adverts a day because the product lead believes they shouldn't be subject to more advertising that. There are many parts of WeChat where you cannot advertise as a brand. You cannot get the data about individuals. You cannot target people. It's actually, you know, people often think of China and they don't associate it strong privacy, but actually WeChat has a pretty good position on privacy of individual users.
It's great, but capping, the reach capping and frequency capping is already here, and I mean it has developed for last like four decades, or when the TV was measured properly. So let's say from 80s, or with people meters from 90s, and I think that was the other part of the job that wasn't done correctly, and that's to me the real education on how the marketing works, how you should work with the audiences, how you should optimize your reach, how you work with the channels, how not to be too much visible, or how not to be annoying brand in that environment. But it has sort of been out of the scope, because then Google and Facebook basically and the others came and set the completely different narrative around it, and the new vocabulary actually. So the younger talents we had in our agencies, in media agency that I work with, it was the real struggle again from the beginning, like to how to beat that narrative of tech giants into broader concepts. So I think the damage was done already, and I think we are just having the crop of this, but it took really long years to the place where we came now, and that we are at now. And I think there are some other things to be done.
Sorry to interrupt. Yes, Alex.
I was going to ask Daniel, what are those things? Like, do we see business models coming along that will allow companies to be successful with using user data?
Guys, I'm loving this debate. Sorry to interrupt you, but we are like 10 minutes to 10, and we are here until 10:30. Would you? And I'm loving, this conversation. It's great, Alex. I love your debating capabilities. It's amazing. I would love to continue this conversation later, but can we continue with the questions, if you don't mind?
Sure. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Daniel and Fabio, for the interventions that you did previously. Indeed, Agustin, I will have one question for you. The other colleagues were mentioning some challenges, let's call them in that way, of digital marketing. I would like to ask you, in your case, what are the digital marketing challenges today for new commerce of the Chinese market?
Okay, so for that, compared to the companies that are already in China, what I would say is that newcomers don't know anything about China. China for them is like they're time travelers. So you need to explain Chinese marketing and the Chinese market for them as it is a new landscape, because they don't know what Chinese internet is, what the Chinese internet nor online marketing regulations are. And for that, you need to walk them through. They have an advantage, though, that newcomers can start with a new overview of controlling and having more data oversight of what is their activity in China. Because nowadays, with technology, they can have much more control and transparency that they could have maybe 10 years ago or 5 years ago with other methods of technologies that they could advertise before. Yeah.
Thank you, Agustin. Now I have a question for Fabio. Which are the main requests you receive from clients that are trying to innovate?
Well, these few months, we generally have seen that, as I told you before, companies want to invest in creating or renovate digital tools that consent them to create a direct dialogue with their customers. So, for example, we are receiving a lot of requests for new mobile apps, but also websites enriched by tools or conversational marketing, like I told you before. And in some cases, can get also client direct connection with operators and agents or brand ambassador in order to communicate brands values. in general, we see a stronger attention on digital tools that can generate engagement, helping companies to do a constant and rational CRM enrichment. This is the main requests. Another common request is solutions in general able to connect the online customer journey with the physical one, like Daniel told before in his presentation. So this request to try to follow the customer in this new difficult customer journey that moves always users from online to physical, and the constant move on these two different worlds connected together. So these are maybe the main requests in this period.
Thank you, Fabio. Now, Daniel, I remember that you mentioned this when you were talking before, but I would like to ask you specifically how the marketing expense will react in the current economic trends.
Yeah, probably. The great interview I saw yesterday on Bloomberg TV, which is not the advertising for Bloomberg channel, but I saw Mr. Levy, who is the chairman of Publicis Group. He got the questions on how the potential recession and the business cycle and the economic cycle we are facing now will influence all of these around marketing and around that spend. So basically, the industry overall predicts for 22 still some formidable growth in the ad spend, around 9%, which is basically keeping on the trend that we saw after 2020, the first year of pandemic. Then we got spending really back, and the pace was great in 21, and those trends will probably continue if there is no some severe recession, of course, and other hurdles ahead of us. So Mr. Levy, if I put a citation, he said no signs of recession yet. And so basically, these were good news for the ad spend trends and for everyone who's dealing with this. But of course, that's the part of the external environment. The other part, which keeps still valid, is what I spoke about earlier. It's the focusing on the brand role and communication and the passive stage of the consumer, and how you resolve these challenges and how you keep the pace of the investment into your brand, regardless what is going on your shelves, for example, on your ROI of the particular campaigns in advertising.
Thank you, Daniel. Now, in your case, Alex, I know that you already have been introducing us in what is, let's say, the digital transformation panoramic, as well as seeing how it's helping to have a closer approach. But Alex, exactly, what is the state of digital transformation in China?
So that's a good question, and I'm glad you asked it because I asked you earlier. I would say the big challenge with digital transformation in China is that it happens rapidly. Consumers have some of the most incredible digital talents for consumers, but it largely hasn't happened in the workplace. So companies in turn are working in very chaotic and efficient ways. This is the huge opportunity in China. One of the things that has allowed inefficiency to continue is the rapid economic growth. We've had single-digit economic growth for decades, and we've seen so little in efficiency and effectiveness in the workplace. And that's really the digital transformation we need in China. We don't need some AR, metaverse, blockchain, NFT nonsense. We need people to do their jobs more efficiently and more effectively. Marketers to make decisions based on data, not just shuffled around in reports to clients because they asked for it. We need people to find more efficient and effective ways to communicate and collaborate rather than sending spreadsheets, email, or through groups. The challenge is people in China are not focused on that kind of digital transformation that can bring meaningful results. And a lot of this comes down to the fact that change just fast. You know, we've seen entire industries come out of almost nowhere. When we first moved to China in 2007, marketing industry was a speck compared to what it is today. Now, where did all those people from? All those people working in marketing. They certainly weren't for marketing degrees back in the 90s or the 2000s. They came with the qualifications. They didn't work for people who have marketing degrees either. We have this fundamental lack of understanding of what marketing is in China. And this is one of the biggest barriers to the adoption processes and new technology. It is just fundamental understanding of what we're actually doing in the jobs. And so I think it's going to take time, but thankfully, economic pressure will push companies to focus on being more efficient, more effective. You know, once
sorry to interrupt you, but there is something with the connection, because when you're speaking, your voice is cutting a bit. I don't think that is only for me, but as well for the others. So I don't know if there's a connection, or maybe we can try without your camera. Let's see if it works.
Okay, I will turn my camera off. Is this better now?
Not really.
Fabio
not
said
really.
so. Okay. Augustine is trying to end the debate having here by sabotaging my connection.
Yeah, it's difficult to understand you. Maybe what you can do is to try to leave the room and once again trying to access. Let's see if maybe this will refresh the system or something. In the meantime, I have another question, and this question is for Agustin. What is the main difference that you find between the overseas well-established companies and new companies entering the market?
So basically, it's budget control and data control.
Okay.
Newcomers and compared to old companies, it's like companies that have been some time in China yet. Maybe they have their marketing department established in China, and they have an assigned budget, and central, the CMO or the central offices, they don't oversee that budget. They don't have any visibility over that, nor what is the efficiency of that budget, nor what is the data generated of that budget. And if they have anything related to that, data is not clean. And that is what we've been seeing. I mean, that is what I saw during my time in not China. So that is the main differences. New companies right now, thanks to tech, and thanks to that tech allows more transparency and more data. They have oversight over data and over how that budget is being implemented. So now, for example, the marketing responsible that it is located in Europe can know exactly where the budget is being spent, what is the average CPC, what is the cost per lead specifically, and so on. Things that culturally in older companies it's not happening, because the processes the processes of these companies that are already in China that rely on maybe other agencies, it does not allow them to oversee this kind of data that allows them to be more efficient.
Thank you, Agustin. And in this case, Daniel, what will do the consumers to tame his rising expenses, in your opinion?
Well, we don't have a crystal ball, and everyone hopes that the impact of what is going on also geopolitically will be just really temporary. But on the inflation data, already show that there will be some results and influence of this on the general consumer basket. So let's see how people will vote, basically in their minds what they will stay with and what is the consumption and lifestyle consumption they want to keep and that they want to basically save on. But in general, I think there will be a difference between the countries. I think that the inflation now it's a heavier impact in Czech Republic or Slovakia, for example, than in France in comparison. So I think there will be some kind of that framework there. But overall, everyone hopes that this will be over soon, and people will just basically vote on what they prefer and what they want to stick with.
Thank you, Daniel. And Fabio, can you tell us about a project of digital transformation particularly well done in your experience?
Yeah. Well, in particular, we have done in these last few months two main projects that are particularly relevant, in my opinion. One is with Barilla, and one of these food brands, which is Gran Cereale, and we are developing now an app mobile with the main theme of sustainability. So this is an example, as I told before, of what brands in their mind, obviously, we will see the results, but they want to create direct connections with users, and we want to try to communicate new values to associate with their brands. So this is an app with obviously a reward system with coupons and other discounts to reward users and consumers that use bicycle during their day life. So we can track users, and they agree, they have a consent for interact for a purpose to try to demonstrate that their behavior, their positive behavior, is sustainable, and they can create a positive impact on the environment. So I think it's also a matter that can interest you, Maria, depending on your professional. So this is a particular example of an app mobile, a new app mobile, with also some privacy critical aspects. But we have seen that users, if you give them some important motivation to use or to install an app, they also can create a connection with the brand. They can agree, and they can use this app. Also, if you ask them data or important data like their GPS location. Another project that we have done with Pfizer, with the help of Pfizer, was with an hospital, Federico II Hospital of Naples, and also this app was developed thanks to the GPS and geolocation technologies. So the main problem that we wanted to solve with this app, which is called Visita Facile, was a problem of orientation in all the hospital district of the Federico II of Naples, which is a very, very big complex of buildings, of more than 25 buildings. So this was obviously a problem of orientation. And so we had visitors and patients, thanks to a geolocation and a sort of navigation tool in the app, to reach the point, the right building, the right entrance, where they have to do a visit or a consulting. And another thing we have done is to install some sensor in some waiting areas that consent us to send push notifications of useful information to users that we tracked in a particular area of or building of the hospital. The result was important. We have seen many positive feedback on these two apps. And we also won the About Pharma Digital Awards in the last year for this last project. So I think that these are two cases in which we have developed app with a matter of a privacy, as we told before, but with a service. We have solved some problems. We have created a vision that that users has understood and has was a positive effect.
Thank you, Fabio. And Alex, what aspect of digital transformation should companies be focusing on, in your opinion?
They should be focusing on the digital transformation that brings value to their employees and to their customers. They should be thinking more about what they can give than what they can get. And this is something that I come up against all the time in the marketing space, particularly. I once asked a good friend who was very senior at an agency in China, I said, what percentage of the data do you use that you store? And he said, far less than 1%. And this is one of the problems that we've had in the marketing industry. You know, digital has been supposedly this utopia, as Augustin said, where we can track and optimize every single thing. But the reality is that you can't attribute the conversion to just that ad. Real value for customers is provided across multiple touch points, across journeys and relationships that are built over a longer period of time. And brands need to be thinking more about what are the needs of our customers and how can we satisfy the needs of our potential users, even if that does not mean short-term direct results for us. I would say our company, we walk the walk as well as talking the talk. You will see that we provide great content that we spend months working on, and we put it on our website. We don't ask you for an email address. We don't try to capture any of your information. We just give it away for free, knowing that we are trying to build a relationship of trust with an audience, and that they will come to us. They will know when it is the right time for them to buy our solution, rather than when we harass them into submission.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I apologize. Now I have a question for Agustin. What is the role of data transparency in China's today digital marketing landscapes for overseas companies?
Well, I think that's what but we can both answer if you want, Alex. Well, I think it's practically efficiency, because if you have data transparency over what is going on with your advertising, then you can make better decisions. So, in my personal case, I've seen customers come to us and say, "Yeah, we maybe receive one report a month," and what I personally think is that one report a month is not enough for being really efficient, for knowing what is the data behind those ads. I totally agree with what Alex said, that data does not talk only about the ad. It talks about everything that it's done before the ad. But anyway, you need to have that data. Because the more data you use, the more efficient you become. And the more data you incorporate in an intelligent way, of course, if you use a lot of data, it tends to be rubbish. So yeah, in final question, it's efficiency. You make better decisions.
I sort of agree with you, Augustin, but I sort of disagree as well.
Of course.
There's a great quote from the around 1880 by John Wanamaker, who was a retailer, and he used to advertise in newspapers for his stores. And some of you may have heard this quote before. And he very famously said, "Half of the advertising money I spend is working and half of it is not. The trouble is I don't know which half." And I would argue that even though, Augustine, you may be able to provide all the data on the adverts, it's still not possible, even in this digital age, with all of this data, to really understand exactly what the return on investment is from all of the different content we're creating. And the problem is, in China, people are focusing too much on things that have a potentially direct ROI, and they are not focusing enough on other types of communication with their audience that are very hard to measure the ROI in terms of sales, but have a very big impact on the decision-making flow. We see China has lots of different platforms, and forgive me for anybody who's not familiar with the different platforms, but they all play important roles in the customer journey. Just because you might be seeing direct conversions on a live stream doesn't mean you shouldn't also be investing in your WeChat official account, because your consumers who are buying on your live stream have also visited your WeChat official account in order to understand your products and to understand the credibility of your brand. They've also been onto Xiaohongshu to see what other customers are saying about you. And you also have to be cautious as well, that often these channels that deliver the best conversions are consumers who are the most price sensitive. And we all know that if you're always selling at a discount, then you're just destroying your profit margin. You need to create that content that drives customers to you to pay full price for your products.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, now I have a question for Daniel. Are there any triggers or barriers that we should see more meta applications in marketing? Wait, you are on mute, so we cannot hear you.
Can you repeat the question, please? Because I had some
Yes.
signal problems.
Are there any triggers or barriers that we should see more metaverse applications in marketing?
Yes, I believe, as we saw now in the discussion, there are not the key principles agreed, I think, in the industry. I think there is lots of the attention lost comes naturally into the technical detail. Once you use the word of digital, then it just scatters across all of the disciplines and technicalities. So that's my only now the only key principle and navigation for this is that we need to come back to the bits of the basics and the marketing science and what was done already in last couple of decades in the industry. And I think we need to just stick to that. And the second one is really stick to the understanding of winning the passive stage of the customer journey.
Daniel, could I ask you a question?
Yeah.
In your presentation, you titled it the metaverse, but it seemed like a lot of the great examples you used were actually more augmented reality. Whereas my understanding is that the metaverse is, Mark Zuckerberg's dystopian thing where we sit with a VR headset on and have relationships offline. Do you think these two technologies are at different stages? Is augmented reality, is that more applicable to marketing rather than this pure sort of VR metaverse opportunity?
Yeah, so maybe my key message, which is shame on me then, didn't come through properly, Alex, because metaverse was with the question mark, and I was saying that we need to come back to the tools and devices we have already. So in the center of our attention is the only technology arm of human being, and that's the mobile device so far. So that was all around us. Otherwise, I mentioned also that we need to look on the more nimble ways how to find the solutions, how to connect with your audiences and consumers, again through the mobile. And I think the development of the headsets, I mentioned Oculus and other solutions, I believe that there in the Silicon Valley already is something really interesting going on, but I always see it on the marketplace. It's just hard to assess it. Thanks.
Thank you. I have now a question for Fabio. Which are more common problems you find when you're trying to push companies towards digital transformation?
Well, in my experience, obviously, I talk only from my experience with our prospect, our clients in general. We see every day a great lack of in-depth knowledge of technologies of our interlocutors. So there is in general also in important companies the difficulty to understand the really potential of technologies and the digital tools we offer to solve their problems. And we see many managers that don't manage technology and don't understand how to introduce new digital tools in their companies. So there's a little chaos on this aspect. So we obviously are very focused on technical aspects, but also in the vision or the main problems that we can solve with technologies. But now, well, the positive things that we are seeing now, the emerging of new figures also in important companies like the innovation managers, for example, and obviously that I think that this will really help us and our clients to get them in all the decision process when we face digital transformation projects in general.
Thank you, Fabio. Agustin, what is the role of digital marketing in the early stages of China market penetration?
So as my question starts with one word, as my answer starts with one word, in this case, it will be testing. Because newcomers in China and in the early stages, companies needs to gather data to understand how consumers are reacting to the products. And it's not something of one stage or maybe of 1 month, 3 months. It's something that needs some iteration. And digital marketing proves to be a very good tool for this, because your product can be put in front of a lot of consumers, and and you can try and check what are the reactions to it. So yeah, it's testing.
Thank you, Agustin.
The only thing I would add to that is to, especially for new entrants to China, is to not think of China as one country. China is a country the size of a continent, or double the size of a continent, and within it there are many, many different audiences and people that you could be targeting. It's possible to build a very successful and profitable China market in just one city in China. And so to think of going into China instead of the broad sense as an overall country, I think is a mistake we see a lot of people making. Just to give you an example of how vast China is, its richest province, Guangdong province, is equivalent, its economy is equivalent to Canada, which is the 7th largest economy in the world. Its next richest province is equivalent to, or was equivalent to Russia, which is the 11th largest economy in the world, and so on. It is a truly vast country, and you can't approach it in one go with a single strategy. You really need to be a lot more targeted and understand where your audience really exists.
Alex, and considering what you are mentioning right now, how important is digital transformation to the Chinese economy? Alex, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. I mean, I can hear you.
You can hear me, Agustin?
Yes.
Yes? Alex, do you hear me? The question was for you. Yes? Alex, can you hear me? Okay, maybe he cannot hear me. Okay, let's come to the other questions that we have. We're actually arriving to the end of the webinar, so let's see if we're able to get through all of them. Fabio, in regard to digital marketing and advertising, what do you think it will happen in the next years concerning new innovative scenarios?
Well, I'm repeating all the same things, but well, as I mentioned before, regarding the third-party cookie policy, we'll see an increasing of investments in ADV platform that will consent brands to communicate directly with their customers. Also, thanks to intermediaries like influencers, so micro, nano influencers, but also brand ambassadors. Better if on proprietary digital platforms or digital environment, for example, like metaverse or virtual shops, when brands can create a direct connection with their customers. I think that the main purpose is to create engagement and move also with ADV, thanks to ADV, and stimulate consumers to live physical or digital experiences that can generate a real value for them, as Alex told you before. So I think that the important thing is to create a real relationship with consumers, a relationship that can generate value for brand and consumers.
Thank you, Fabio. I would like to ask to all of you, which one would be that final statement that you would like to make about today's webinar? Briefly, please. Which one would be the final statement? For example, you, Daniel, what you can tell us.
Yeah, thank you. So don't be afraid of metaverse as the buzzword. I think that there is a great future ahead of every marketer and every technologist and every transformation fan. Look on the mobiles. There are the key devices for everyone. And look on the possibilities you got there. There is plenty of them. There are some great cases already, which some of presented. Many of more are visible on the internet. So look for the commercial sites, for example, and the other resources. There are many specialists in the area. I'm generalist, so I think that's a great opportunity and great topic. So I keep fingers crossed to everyone, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Daniel. Agustin, any final statements?
Yeah, focus on people. Oh, sorry, I didn't hear the Agustin bit.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Agustin, please.
No. You started. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, focus on people and the value you can provide to them.
Thank you, Alex. Agustin.
So I would say that the new frontier of marketing is on data transparency and control. And that if anyone wants to advertise in China, you can contact me. That's it.
Thank you. Fabio.
Alex, focus on people, but with the right technology.
You cannot continue the debate. Remember, this is the final statement, so you cannot reply, Alex. Okay, thank you so much. I would like to thank you, all the ones that are part of the audience. This was a very interesting conversation. I think that we all agree that we will continue talking about this. We can spend hours and hours talking about this topic. But of course, today we're not able to do it here anymore. But I encourage you to stay connected with the Chamber. We're going to be having some networking groups in which we will get deeper about this topic. So we will keep you all updated about that and when it's going to happen. Once again, thank you to Agustin, Alex, Fabio, Daniel. It was a pleasure to be here with you, and I hope to see you soon. So thank you so much, and remember that technology obliges. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
And thank you for the 6 participants that are seeing us. Bye-bye.